What's going on, guys? CTG Matt back. Today I am here to talk about some of the trades that happened last night and the trade that literally just happened as I was about to record all the other ones from last night. The trade that just came in right now at the time of recording is the Cavs getting DeAndre Hunter and Atlanta getting Caris LeVert, Georges Niang, 3 second-round picks, and 2 pick swaps. We can talk about that first, then we'll go back in time. Like, comment, share, sub if you are new. Let's get down right to business. Cavs getting DeAndre Hunter. They get the big wing that they've been looking for years now. I like Isaac Okoro. Really don't mind him. I think he's a decent NBA player. He's been hurt a lot this season. What's plagued him is inconsistent three-point jump shot for a while, but he seemed to patch it up a little bit. But they didn't give him up in this trade. They ended up getting their big wing. They got a guy who can run off the bench or start. I'm not sure. Me personally, I would probably still run him off the bench. I know you can start him, but if you want to run him with the starters, then you're getting him as more of a 3-and-D guy. And he didn't strive in that role as much in Atlanta. In Atlanta, he was more, he strived when he was given the ball and allowed to work. When he was asked to just be 3-and-D in the starting lineup last year and the year before, you saw some struggles, right? So what I think they should do is bring him off the bench. He can be the new Caris LeVert. He's an upgrade Caris LeVert, essentially, but you can also start him. I'm not sure. I really don't know. I think he's a guy who strives with a higher usage and with the ball in his hands more, which there's nothing wrong with that. That's just the majority of NBA players. But if you turn him into just 3-and-D and tell him, hey, go sit in that corner while Don and Darius and Evan Mobley cook, I don't know if it's going to work out as well. However, I really like this deal because DeAndre Hunter can defend, although his defensive numbers wouldn't say that. He can. He's good, he's capable, he's lengthy, he's a big wing, and they haven't had that. Their wings of recent years have been Niang, Okoro, LeVert, Strus, Dean Wade. Dean Wade's actually pretty good. They didn't give him up either. So they got a rotation of wings now. And you got rid of Caris LeVert, who, as we know, spins a wheel every day to decide whether he's Michael Jordan or Marcus Johnson or, I don't know, Shabazz Muhammad on a given day. You're never sure what you're going to get out of Caris LeVert. You're getting a more consistent Caris LeVert and DeAndre Hunter. Hunter's a guy who can fill up the box score. He can just score. And that's what the Cavs struggled with. If you watch that Celtics game the other night, they just could not put the ball in the hoop. It was Donovan Mitchell against the Celtics. Evan Mobley was struggling. This is a guy in DeAndre Hunter who can come in immediately and give you a 20-point game, 30-point game, 6-3 game. He can score. He's one of the best bench scorers in the NBA. I had him as my 6th man of the year pick. He's been very good this season. And I think with Cleveland in a role where he can do his thing on a contending team, he might strive. But like I said, if you're going to just bring him in just to be like, hey, you're going to go sit in that corner while Darius and Donovan cook, I'm not sure how that's going to work. He's not a 3-and-D guy. He wants to self-create, and he can self-create. He's a good shooter, a good finisher. He got length. That's what they've needed. And on top of that, he plays a little bit of defense. It's the perfect trade partner for the Cleveland Cavaliers. We could switch into, we can get into what Cleveland's upside is now. Cleveland gets a lot better in this trade. Niang is not special. He's replaceable. I'm going to be honest with you. That's like the one NBA role player that I never liked. I know that's a personal thing. I don't really care, to be honest. I don't like Georges Niang. But Caris LeVert is a good backup wing. But like I said earlier, DeAndre Hunter is just better Caris LeVert. That's fine. The Cavs' upside as a team, I think, changes a little bit now, if I'm being honest. Before, it was like, yes, a conference finalist type of team. Can they make a finals run? And when they had no wings and Isaac Okoro's been down and, they're relying on big minutes from a Niang and a Strus, it's like, well, maybe. I think they can. But now that they have DeAndre Hunter, this is a legit finals contender in my eyes, at least. I'll have to see how it ages because, like I said, he needs the ball in his hands. But Kenny Atkinson's a good coach. I think he can make it work. And on top of that, you have Donovan, Darius, and Evan. Those guys are special. They're putting together a good run. They've been rough recently. But that's just because a lot of the shooting's coming down. The shooting numbers from 3 specifically. But DeAndre Hunter is another guy who can give you 6 threes in a game. Not even blink about it. So yeah, the Cavs were contenders before this move, and I think they'll be even stronger contenders after this move. Now we can go talk about Atlanta. They get Caris LeVert, Georges Niang, 3 second-round picks, and 2 pick swaps. That's pretty good return for DeAndre Hunter, although you might be a little bit disappointed. I think it's a very good return. 3 second-round picks and 2 pick swaps should be fine. You're going to get some decent, some higher in the draft picks, obviously, but at least you get some equity for him. And on top of that, he's under team control for the next this season and then the 2 after this. So he hits unrestricted free agency in 27, 28. He's under contract, and the most he's getting paid is $25 million for a guy who can defend and is a 6th Man of the Year candidate. That's just another plus for Cleveland. But for the Hawks, like I was saying before, those picks, at least you got something in return. And on top of that, now you kind of wanted to start this, well, not a rebuild. This is a weird season for them, to be honest with you. They were a fun team when Jalen Johnson was healthy, and now they're just not. Trading DeAndre Hunter here, so that's even less fun in Atlanta. But it seems like they're heading the way of the tank, and I don't mind that. You have some decent pieces growing around Trae Young, Dyson Daniels, even Vit Krejci is a decent little player. 3 second-round picks, 2 pick swaps for a guy that we knew we were probably going to move before the deadline isn't bad value at all, to be honest with you. But like I said in the last video, you can get all the picks in the world you want. You still have to hit on them. You could take 100 draft selections in one singular class, and if 0 of them turn into all-stars, you burn just about every pick there, right? So while you did get these 5 picks, you still have to hit on them. But they're second-round picks. I mean, you could even wheel and deal them to other teams. Use that for leverage or anything like that. I really just don't mind the trade from the Atlanta side. I don't know why they wanted to get rid of DeAndre Hunter so bad, to be honest with you. I think it's under, are they under new regime maybe? I can check that very fast, actually. No, it's still Landry Fields. Yeah, okay. I don't know. But it made it clear that they were looking to wheel and deal and move some players at the deadline. Capella, Bogdanovich, I thought would be off the board first before Hunter, but with the Cavs were the obvious target for a DeAndre Hunter deal. That just made too much sense not to do. So good on you, Atlanta, for getting a return for a guy that you knew you were going to trade. 5 picks is pretty decent value, plus Caris LeVert if you want to move him somewhere else. George Niang, bye-bye. I don't want to see George Niang anymore on a contending team. Don't like him. Not much else to say about this trade, so I believe we can move backwards in time now and talk about the last few that I didn't cover. Like this one, the Suns are trading Jusuf Nurkic and a first-round pick to Charlotte for Vasilije Micić and Cody Martin. That's good value for Phoenix, a guy that was not going to play in useless Nurkic. He's been abysmal as a player for the last 2 years, maybe 3. Ever since that big injury, he just hasn't been the same. Mobility down, not a good finisher around the rim, not a good passer. He doesn't do much well that you want him to do. But because he was getting DNPs. He was getting CD DNPs. And you attached a first-round pick to him, which definitely sucks. But you got Cody Martin, who is a very good wing, who can provide you valuable minutes, with Ryan Dunn being kind of iffy, if I'm being honest, and Vasilije Micić, who I don't watch much, if I'm being honest with you. I know Cody Martin was having a good season, but Vasilije Micić I have not been paying very much attention to. I can actually go look into that right now. Boy, I didn't know Vasilije Micić was 31 years old, I'll tell you that much. That's for damn sure. Let me turn on this brightness. Oh my god, the net. Oh my god. Point differential per 100 possessions is a -4 with Vasilije Micić on the floor. Also, the offense is -9 points per 100 possessions, and the defense is better. So there you go. He's in the 84th percentile in points per 100 possessions on off. So he might be a good defender, maybe. Didn't know he was 31. My god, he does look 31, all things considered. He is also shooting a, oh my god, 42.5% effective field goal percentage. All right, that's a little bit gross. We can go and talk about Cody Martin, who's been having a better season. Let me get off this Vasilije Micić page. This is not what I want to see. Cody Martin, though, in my opinion, has been having a decent little season. He's shooting rough, but around the rim, 68%. On-off wise, he was good to start the season. Yeah, he's still pretty good now. Offense is plus 6.2 points per 100 possessions better when Cody Martin's on the floor. And the defense is, he's literally in the 50th percentile. He's a net neutral on defense. That's a plus. Effective field goal percentage. Opponent effective field goal percentage. Down 3.6% when Cody Martin is on the floor. There you go. So like I said before, Phoenix, who's been suffering from inconsistent wing play from guys like Ryan Dunn. There you go. You get a guy like Cody Martin who can hopefully be patchwork and Phoenix told us last night that they had nothing cooked up. They didn't want to trade KD, and once they realized they weren't getting Butler, they said, well, what do you want us to do? We're just going to punt. And they hope for internal, what did they say? Just basically they told their players, get better. They said, let's hope the team just gets better. So at least this team gives them a chance, and Jusuf Nurkic is abysmal. So you got away from useless Nurkic. All you had to do was attach a first-round pick, which sucks ass, because all you got was Cody Martin and Vasil Micic out of it. But when you're trading a negative asset like a Jusuf Nurkic, you kind of have to attach a pick to it, even though that's kind of sad, and I don't like it. But at least you got something for him. Phoenix acquired first-round picks in the Utah deal to attach a potential deal to unload Nurkic. Oh, there we go. Thank you, Chris Haynes. That makes more sense. They got the pick from Utah to begin with. That was in the 4 seconds for a first deal a few days ago. Felt like a nothing burger at the time, but it's coming around and it's making it valuable, which means that they didn't even spend their own first-round pick. That's another win for Phoenix right there. But it's also a win for Charlotte because they've seemingly torn it down. They've decided, new regime, we are done with the old regime stuff. And I guess that segues us into Mark Williams. The trade summary, this was from last night. This was a pretty interesting trade. The Lakers get Mark Williams, the Hornets get Dalton Knecht, Cam Reddish, a first-round pick, and a pick swap. This seems like a pretty decent deal for both sides, in my opinion. While I know some people aren't very high on Mark Williams, the obvious elephant in the room is that his ass gets hurt a lot. He doesn't play. He's not consistently on the floor. That's his big issue. However, when he is on the court, he's in that, in my opinion, he's in that Robert Williams type mold where it's this super athletic, super lengthy 7-footer who can jump out the gym for his size. But again, similar to Robert Williams, you'll only get him for about 35 to 45 games a year. Maybe it's just a case of Charlotte-itis, and once he gets to LA, he'll be more healthy. That's kind of the hope. It's very much the hope for the Lakers, because they're going to have to extend him. And I did not know that last night. I know that now that they're going to have to extend him. If I made that immediate trade reaction, I'd have been like, wow, the Lakers got a lot better, without knowing the context. But knowing they're going to have to extend him for like $18 million, I don't know. You're going to have to see how he plays. But otherwise than that, you get a little bit younger as well at the center spot. He's only like 22 or 23. So you got a little bit younger as well. I mean, he's younger than Dalton Knecht, I believe. Ain't that some shit? They're the same age. Basically the same age, and Dalton Knecht's in his rookie year. Mark Williams is in, year 2 or 3 now? But like I said before, Mark Williams just doesn't play. But for the Lakers, again, this is a pretty decent deal because you needed a center. And on top of that, you got a young one at that. You didn't go out and trade for Val. You didn't trade for Vooch. You didn't even trade for Jakob Poeltl. You got a guy who's a little bit younger, who I'm surprised that the Hornets moved. But like I said, last regime, they kind of want to wash their hands of it. And so they got a pretty decent return for a guy like Mark Williams. However, Mark Williams, when he plays over 20 minutes per game, this is per underdog, these are pretty decent numbers. When playing 20-plus minutes a night, Mark Williams averages 18.7 points, 11.5 rebounds, 3 assists, 1.5 blocks, and 60% from the field. So 8 double-doubles in 15 games of playing 20-plus minutes. That's the issue, is that he's only played 15 games of 20 or more minutes. That's kind of nuts to think about. So you're getting a glass cannon, LA. You are getting a glass cannon, that's for damn sure. A guy who, yeah, he might hit, he might be a great piece. But the issue is that there's a real chance that he breaks down. So we can go talk about Charlotte now. Actually, we could finish out talking about the Lakers really quick. I pump faked you. The Lakers are in the middle still. They're not the best team in the world still, but Luka LeBron can definitely carry you to some heights. It's been a pretty decent couple of days for Lakers fans, and I'm sure that this whirlwind and getting Mark Williams has them sky high, understandably so. But obviously, I don't think this makes them a sudden finals contender or a finals team. As much as I like the Luka LeBron combo, there's still some pieces and moves to be made for this team to become a lot better. With that said, we can move on to what Charlotte's getting. No pump fake this time. Dalton Knecht, Cam Reddish, a first-round pick and a pick swap. Fine, dude. You got a first-round pick and a pick swap for a guy who played 18 games of 20 or more minutes. On top of that, although you might have liked him, you got rid of him and Nick Richards, which means center minutes for Moussa Diabate, who's a very plus player in my mind. I like Moussa a lot. So, and then you get Dalton Knecht, Cam Reddish. While Cam Reddish, whatever, bro. He's a fine NBA player. He can get minutes. He's like a 3-and-D guy. People expected a lot more out of him, and I don't know. It's not going to happen. But Dalton Knecht, another guy who just shoots. And you got LaMelo, a guy who can just shoot the ball. Just shoot the damn ball. And I think that they want to get rid of, well, the new regime is definitely trying to get in some guys who are less endeared by the wrong lifestyle. Because if you look at Charlotte over the last few years, you got some guys that have done some questionable things off the court. Bouknight, LaMelo speeding, blown by red lights. Whoa. And Miles Bridges, Terry Rozier now. There's been a lot going on in Charlotte trouble-wise. And so getting a guy like Dalton Knecht, no offense, but his only crime is stealing a library book. Not returning his library book is probably Dalton Knecht's worst crime he's ever committed. Okay, breaking news. The Clippers are trading Terrence Mann and Bones Hyland to the Atlanta Hawks for Bogdan Bogdanovic and 3 second-round picks. Mid-recording, I got to cover this one. The Clippers getting a lot better. Terrence Mann has been abysmal this season. Straight up, the bottom has fallen out on Terrence Mann. I liked him as a player a lot. I'm just not sure what's happening now, why he can't shoot, why his value's not there. I saw a Clippers fan made an edit of him over the King Von thing, like he's got to go. He's the spawn of Satan. So, it clearly has been having a very rough season with the Clippers. I thought he'd fit right in that defensive mentality, but not quite. And then Bones Hyland, who doesn't get many minutes, for Bogdan Bogdanovic, a guy who can score. That's the Clippers' big issue. They have a top 5 defense, but a bottom 5 offense, it feels like. It is a two-man faceted lineup where it's either Kawhi or James Harden doing the damage. So now you get a guy like Bogdan Bogdanovic, an absolute bomber off the bench who can check in and change the game, put up 20 points in 25 minutes or something like that. He's a guy who can score in bunches, Bogdan Bogdanovic. He's good coming around screens, and you have one of the best screeners in the NBA, in my opinion, in Ivica Zubac. So that definitely helps as well. So I definitely like this move for the Clippers as well, even though it might not be the sexiest trade. It's a move that helps the Clippers gets a little bit better. But we keep talking about it. We keep talking about it here on this channel. What is the Clippers ceiling? I have no clue right now. Because while I do like this move, I really still do wonder, like, what is the best move that we can... What is the best thing that this Clippers lineup can accomplish? Like, what's the farthest they can go in a playoff series? But I don't think the front office is really worried about what their ceiling is, to be honest. They want to put together a fun, entertaining product on the floor for their new arena and get the fans hyped again for Clipper basketball, rebrand, all that type of stuff. You're not going to go into a tank after a rebrand and a new arena is built. So you only traded 3 second-round picks. Terrence Mann. Oh, the Hawks gave up 3 second-round picks. I read that wrong. The Clippers didn't even lose a pick, and they got Bogdan Bogdanovic. Okay. Yeah, Terrence Mann's been playing pretty bad, and Bones Hyland hardly gets PT, and you got Bogdan Bogdanovic and 3 second-round picks out of it. That sounds like an absolute win of a trade for the Clippers. Not quite sure why the Hawks didn't ask for any equity back. No pick equity at all. Not at all. Terrence Mann is not as good as a second-round pick. I'd probably rather have the second-round pick at this current junction. I don't get how they ended up giving up 3 second-round picks here. I don't get it. But yeah, it's not clicking with me. Now we can go over the really big one from last night, barring that there's any other interruptions, rude interruptions by Shams Charania. I'm trying to record here, Shams. Come on now, dog. But Brandon Ingram to the Raptors in a package in exchange for the Pelicans getting Bruce Brown, Kelly Olynyk, a first-round pick, and a second-round pick. Fine deal for both sides, in my opinion. Actually, I'm not sure why the Raptors want Brandon Ingram. I'm still not sure. They're going to have to extend him, and they're very committed to this core if they end up re-signing Brandon Ingram, because you're going to have Manuel Quickley on extension, RJ Barrett on an extension, Brandon Ingram on an extension, Scotty Barnes on an extension, and then you're probably going to have to extend Jakob Poeltl if you want center play. You're getting to an expensive roster for a team that, all things considered, even with Brandon Ingram, what is that? It's weird. You have Brandon Ingram and then RJ Barrett and Scotty Barney. I mean, it's a fun, competitive team, but I don't know what I see in this deal. And we know Masai Ujiri is the type to be, like, oddly aggressive at times, and he'll buy low on a guy. I understand that, but Brandon Ingram is a different type of guy where you're going to have to extend him after this season. And while I'm not against extending Brandon Ingram, It depends on what the number comes out to be, I guess. If it's over 200 mil, I don't know how to feel about that. Go look at it, bro. There's some splits that are so troubling with Brandon Ingram that I would not touch a trade with him with a 10-foot pole if I was a contender. Stuff like home road splits. His home road splits have been terrible. Last year's home road splits were beyond bad for him. And then playoffs. You just have to look at the playoff box scores. You could say, well, he didn't have Zion. Okay, well, now you're the one option, and you're still getting clamped up by Lou Dort putting up fucking tour dates. Absolute disgusting box scores. I'm not a big Brandon Ingram guy, but maybe Toronto sees something in them that I don't know. Maybe. We could talk about the Pelicans, what they got. Pelicans get Brucey B, Kelly O, first round pick and a second round pick. Fine. You didn't extend Brandon Ingram because it would have made no sense. With this team, the way that they've been playing this season, don't extend Brandon Ingram. At the rate that they miss games, don't extend Brandon Ingram. I understand why they wouldn't do that, and I greenlight that. Bruce Brown, fine, expiring soon. And Kelly Olynyk, another one I think is expiring soon. A first-round pick and a second-round pick as well for a guy who's on an expiring deal is good value, in my opinion. And now your starting lineup with IQ, RJ, Ingram, Scottie Barney, and Jakob Poeltl. It's definitely interesting. I mean, Jakob got hurt the other day, but that might just be one of those. We are losing injuries. You know what I mean? Like the Brooklyn Nets disease. Now with Brandon Ingram, I don't think they're even committed to tanking anymore. You got Grady off the bench, Oche off the bench, Shed off the bench. So they got a little squad. Chris Boucher's still there, as far as I know. So it's an interesting team. Very interesting team. I don't know. I don't get it. Toronto fans, explain in the comments why you're excited for Brandon Ingram, or what exactly has you so excited for Brandon Ingram, or why they did this in general. Just let me know. This is another one per underdog that I saw last night that I was like, oof, Maroon, he looks terrible. Brandon Ingram and Zion Williamson only played 35% of available games together, 154 out of 441 games together. They didn't even play 40% of games that they could have together. They played in 0 playoff games. The Pelicans have had 10 playoff games in the last since Brandon and Zion became a thing, and Brandon and Zion have combined, or not combined, but they've played together in 0 of those games. Absolutely disappointing core in general for the Pelicans. Absolutely disgusting how that's gone down, and I kind of greenlight it. I definitely agree with. Who was it? I agree with Dyson Daniels that franchise is beyond cursed. No offense, but that's just brutal to see. I don't know. I don't like the deal for the Raptors, but I definitely do like it for the Pelicans. You get a pick and a second, and on top of that, you get away from paying Brandon Ingram, which you've made clear that they weren't going to do anyways. So it would have never made sense even if they did. I know this video's been all over the place, but I'm looking currently at the trade that just happened with the Clippers and the Hawks, and I'm wondering now, are we going into full demolish the whole thing mode? Is Trae Young on his way out of Atlanta? Is that what we're staring at in the next 2 years, maybe summer? We're looking at Trae Young in a different uniform. I'm thinking that's a reality. So, you know, he ends up, I don't know where he ends up, but honestly, yeah, I think that's where we're leaning. They just want to demo the whole thing, Landry Fields. And I feel him. The team wasn't great. 500 floater. They were a fun team to watch, though. So I'll give them that. They gave me some fun on League Pass some nights. Whole lot going on in the NBA. If something else happens while I'm editing, I'll probably have to re-record and throw it in there. So barring another trade happens, this is the outro. Thank you for joining me. Make sure to like, comment, share, sub. I'm going to go catch a game. See you guys in the next one.